Are you struggling to keep up with boxing? Download the Boxing Showtimes app for the latest fight schedules, full undercards, boxer stats, news, and real-time updates. It's more than just an app, it's the boxing community you want to join.
Awkward question for you. I know you used to train with Dom. How come you left Dom and went to Grant Smith? No pressure.
Why I left? I might have to have a think about this.
You got to remember, it's like try before you buy. You get people come to you for a reason, they go and they come back, and it is what it is. It's our personalities. Or me, I'm a bit of a taskmaster and I'm a bit deadpan. I'm not one of these cuddly type of trainers because I'm going to tell you as it is straight. And some people like a bit of nurturing and like a, it's all right, and they've got a different way. My way's not the way for everybody. It's like with Dave Allen. Dave Allen came to train with me, and it's very similar to Liam Dave, how his mentality is. He's a big cuddly giant, really. And it's same with me, soft as a brush. But when you get into the ring, it's totally different. And I prefer people to be like, Kel's the same. You get people who box and they're outside the ring and they're more aggressive and, want to have a fight outside the ring than when they get in. And you tend to find the best boxers is, you meet them in the street, you think, I can't smack his lips in. But when you get in that ring, they switch on. Dave Allen's the same, he's the same, Kel's the same. You never see him never known him being in any trouble on the street. Never seen Dave Allen in any trouble, or Kel. But there's loads of other fighters who are scrapping on the street and then they get in the ring and they're nowhere as aggressive they can be. So it's that kind of thing, and it's like, it don't suit everybody, how I am. But I'm just a realist, and I tell them this is how it's got to be. So, like I said, Liam he did all right. Also got to remember, at the time when he came to my gym, even like getting back to Dave Allen. Dave Allen came to me and he trained for Dillian White. Got him really fit, made him train hard. It were killing him. And I thought, it's a bit strange this. Like, he's not really much of an athlete, Dave Allen. He's like, he can't really train at an high level. And I remember after he went, I said to him, get back into the gym after Dillian White, you're going to box again. And he just disappeared. And he said to me, I can't train down there, it's too hard. And some people aren't used to that way of training. They can't hack it, you know what I mean? With Liam, for whatever reason, it's like people have got a certain way they want to train, and it's not my particular way. It don't suit them. Some people like to do it a certain way.
So is it a case of where you kind of just...
They like to have a bit of control, and I don't really give fighters control over what they can do. It's got to be this particular way, because I think I've had enough experience to realise what you've got to do. And I think he may confirm this or not. I think at the time when he came to me, you probably had a lot of stuff going on.
Possibly, yeah. I've gone through different stages in my career. Like, I've gone from when I first went pro, I only knew that kind of training, and you think it's solid, and you don't know until you step to another place and see how they do it. So I think Dom were on me constantly, and like, quick exclusive, probably no. I'm on spectrum. Do you know what I mean? I like,
but then most fighters are
my way. Do you know what I mean? Not that I don't respect what they tell me. Just like a little bit of breathing space. I'm gonna do the training this time. But like, back then I used to like have a fight and want a bit of time off. But done with on you, you're in next day. And I thought, wait, what's the point? I've just boxed. But now understanding it in this stage of my career, he's right, because I'm constantly in the gym now. And what he was trying to teach me before, I didn't really accept it, because probably young-minded, and now I'm older, his way of thinking, you've got one career. In every day, train, you've got no life, and we're right.
See, you think how you are now, with that mindset. You see, most fighters are ADHD, they're on the spectrum at some point. The thing is, the environment I've operated in all my life, and to a certain degree, 100% my dad were, because looking back at him now, at my childhood, and what he had is doing and stuff he was doing, and how he approached stuff, it weren't a surprise why he was successful. But there's a way to channel it. If you channel them being on the spectrum in the wrong way, you just end up a naughty boy doing wrong stuff. If you do it in the right way, you end up very productive. So most people in our gym, they're on the spectrum. And when you've been in that gym like I have from 10 years old, then people you surround yourself with, it's normal. You think it's normal. So when you go out and meet normal people in the street, you think, oh, they're a bit boring. Because every person I've ever met, they're like him, or like Kid Galahad, they've all got that like level to them where once they set their mind to doing it, they're going to do it. But it's very hard. It's like, I've had fighters, one of them was John Fightston, put my left glove on first. Liam Williams, you tape his hands, do a fantastic job. Give me that tape. And then he starts taping it, just doing it. What are you doing? Oh, it's just the thing I've got to do. They've all got that. And I used to say to him, no, you're not doing that, Liam, because it'd mess his head up. So there's certain things you have to allow them to do, like someone to put the left boot on first or the right boot on first. But when they're young, it's like he'll have gone to school, he'll have had teachers who wanted to teach him a certain way, and it didn't work. I went to school, and I had certain teachers who could teach me, and certain ones who couldn't. And the ones who could teach me knew 3 or 4 different ways how to approach you with a certain thing. And if they're teaching you maths or teaching you English, you just went, no, this is how it is. I never got on with them teachers who said, no, this is how it is, you've got to do it this way. We're like, well, if you can't do it that way, then do it this way. If you can't do it this way, do it that way. They were the best teachers. And it's the same with him. So when people came to my dad's gym, because my dad were aware of this, he could teach kids 3 or 4 different ways because he was the same. So they might not have understood it this way, but they'll understand it that way and that way and that way. And with him being young at the time, it's like, no, I've got it in my mind. I've got to do it this way. I've got to do it this way. I've got to, you know, walk 39 steps to the gym, and I've got to work 30, I've got to walk upstairs backwards. They've got all these, I've got to wash my hands 5 times. They've got all these kind of habits, what they've got, you know. And so it's no surprise when you start taking them out and that kind of what they're used to, that familiarity, it ruins them. So it's dead easy to break kids like Liam if you know how to do it in a fight, in training. And until they start to learn about themselves, you know, what these, not say issues, but the way they are, and they understand themselves better as they get older, they become more mature, they understand it better. Now he's realised that, I'm not saying my way is the best way, it's only through experience that observing other kids from a young age, from 20 to get into 30, and saying, look, everybody starts out that way, but in 10 years' time, you're going to look at it different. You're going to learn about yourself and think, oh, yeah, that's what it is. So it don't give me any satisfaction saying, oh, you're actually right. It's just, you just wish when they were younger, they could take it on board more so they can get to where they need to be quicker. And the ones who can take it on board at an early age do get to where they need to be quicker. Luckily, you know, he's still fresh at 34 years old. He's had 4 years out. He went in particularly hard fights up to age of 30. That period of time he's had out, you know, he went in a great place, and I'm surprised he can still come back and fight at a decent level after kind of abusing himself on alcohol. So he's obviously doing something right. But what it comes down to actually is that ultimately he could always fight. He always had that ability to fight. Regardless of the fitness, he was always a fighter. He was always a decent boxer. And that's something that you can't, you know, just like click your fingers and get.
Could have just chuck Liam in. Liam, you know, you just mentioned Dom there. I've got to ask you, I can't go without not talking about Brendan Ingle. He would have been in the gym when you was going in and out. Any memories you can share about Brendan? Yeah. Funny stories, nothing like motivation, because I know he's a funny character.
There were loads of stories. I was quite surprised. Well, I weren't surprised. Brendan had time for everyone. So I used to go in, I think you used to start training at 4. I think I used to go in at 3 just to sit with Brendan and talk. And he'd take me on pads. Even at his later age, he'd take me on pads. Then there was one day I were in gym, he went, do you want to come at sauna with me? So I'm thinking, oh, I can't believe this, I'm going to sauna. So get ready. Brendan picks where he wants to go. I think one place we're busy, so we had to go to another one. So we sat down in this sauna, and Brendan, he could talk, couldn't he, for stories. So he's telling me for about half, and I can't eat. So he's telling me this story, and because the kind of guy who I am, I didn't want to say to him, Brendan, I've got to get up and get out of this sauna. So I sat there, and he's talking to me. I'm thinking,
you're slowly passing out.
Please, end story. Then I'd thought, he's finished now, I'm going to take it. Then he'd drop into another story. I'm thinking, and it were torture for me. And he would just sat there like nothing was happening. And I took courage, and I went, listen, Brendan, I've got to go out. And he went, oh, no problem. Then I got back in. Sauna were rammed. And he's gone, off you go, Liam, singing Shadowbox. I'm thinking, no way. No way.
In this sauna when everybody's in.
Right, what do? Do I just get up and do it, or do I wait? So I just got up and do it, red and yellow and pink and green. Didn't even know words, but I heard it that much in gym. I picked up words, so I got through it. And I thought, thank you.
What were people doing in sauna? Did they get up and leave, or they just
like looking at me, and I'm thinking, Embarrassing, this. Embarrassing.
But do you think that, you know, when you do stuff like that, it's like, he used to do that with me when I was a kid, drop me in awkward situations. So you get over that kind of fear of being in front of crowds. And it's like Johnny will say, he made his career off that, getting up and doing it in front of a school, a school full of kids. And then he went on to being a presenter on TV. It's like, some people are so self-conscious. And when you're a boxer, it's no good being the best boxer in the world if you can't get out to the fans what you need to say. It's like, if you give him one word reply, yeah, no, yeah, I think so, yeah, whatever. If you listen to him probably previous to his last interview, when he were younger, he didn't talk really well. He'd be like, yeah, no, yeah, I think
Bad
so.
talker, got
But
really
now,
nervous.
when you look at his last interview, what he did with you, and how it comes across, it's totally different because he's older, he's less self-conscious, and he's learned the way. So
I sense that you don't care anymore. It's more like a bit of dry humour, and you just say what you think.
Yeah, and another story. I went to do this boxing exhibition. Brendan was there, and he's screaming at the top of his voice, "Who wants to beat up someone from Kosovo?" And told Tony
you know what? It's funny you should mention that because I've just pulled into the Costa down the road, a new sat in Costa.
Tony
His laptop,
Montana.
Tony
Name was
Montana.
Tony Montana. I used to think, wait, his name's him off Scarface.
Yeah.
But really,
Elton Gashi, his name was, yeah.
this guy comes in, flashes out, spinning away. No one could hit him.
He were like boxing somebody who's juggling with the hands and the feet. And you're watching them thinking, you where we shot. He boxed loads of people, loads of British champions. Good kid, very awkward. Came over as a refugee. But yeah, he was in the gym at the same time, weren't he?
Yeah, he was in gym. So I can remember that, and I was just thinking, it's mad Brendan's shouting that.
No, I've heard some crazy stuff he used to shout. Like I said, in this day and age, we've said it loads of times in this podcast that it'd probably get cancelled. That's the crazy world we live in.
Well, yeah, do you know what? And I don't think he'd be bothered, to be honest. It's like I said, it's you look at the time is now. It's like, I remember one time he was sat in a same thing again. He used to take the kids to the steam and the sauna, and he'd get them in there, and he'd be lecturing them on stuff and giving them talks, and there'd be other people in there. And I always remember one time there was a particular person in, and everything that my dad was saying, well, like, he could see this, it was a woman, like, she couldn't wait to get out, because everything that he was talking about, she was. We're not going to that. And I think Kid Gauze tapping me down and saying, Brendan, you can't say that, Brendan, you can't say that. But, that's just the way he was, before the world got crazy.
Sorry for butting. As his brother, is he?
Yeah, he's all right, Tony. I've got to go and try and catch up with him in the new year. He's not in a great way. You've seen Tony.
Yeah, I've seen him a few times. He's on I think permanent oxygen.
Yeah.
From what
I watched that interview with him, and he showed you where Brendan used to train and that, and he's still got that bar and stuff. Mad, innit, how you can just... He's put the work in, hasn't he?
Yeah.
He's put the work in.
Did that give you quite an interesting insight with regards to, like, we talk about Brendan Ingle, but this actually went back to their dad, and their dad was like this militarian type disciplined guy who made all his kids train. They used to do like circuits in the garden, and that dumbbell that you saw that he still got. You found that a bit mad? Are you like that?
Not really, no. Not really, no, not now. I'm a bit older. But like, I'd like go to the gym and I'd see Brendan down the road sweeping, and think, what? You just have to look back and you think, what a man. I don't think anyone's got a bad word to say about him unless I'm mistaken.
No, I mean, obviously, I remember he'd be sweeping the floor. He goes, and you'd be sweeping the floor, somebody come along and just chuck litter down, and I just shake my head. He went, got no respect for the place they live. And that's the thing, is the values now with people is, a lot of people haven't got the respect for where they live, have they? And he used to do that. People said, what are you sweeping this street for, Brendan? Leave that to council. He went, well, he goes, it don't hurt, does it? And you could see him sweeping that street up outside the gym and keeping it all clean. But for him, it was just therapy in between training sessions. That's what it were. And while he was sweeping, he was thinking, ways he could develop fighters in the boxing. And his life was that gym. I just remember a few years before he died, he just said to me, he looked a bit puzzled one day, and he'd been sweeping up outside the gym, and he went, Dominic, I said, what? He says, when I'm gone, you're not going to knock this gym down and build flats on it, or you're going to get rid of it, are you? I went, no. I went, all right. Because I said, as long as people are walking into this gym, it'll always be open for fighters. That's what it is. It's a centre point of the community, and you can't put a value on that. And even now, like, years after his death, the gym's still packed. It's still filled with kids. It's still kids turning up, training the Brendan Ingle way. having the same philosophies and learning a few life lessons, and that's what that gym's for. It's not all about money. We've got a massive amateur section, we've got a few pros, and like I said, my nephew now, Luca, he's running it. You've met Luca.
Did course with him.
Yeah, did course with him, so he's another one, he's into it, and that gym will be running forever and a day. He's only 18, so it's got at least another 40, 50 years. But that's just the thing, it's like, you look back now, when you're a kid, it's like the time you spent. I mean, how old were you at the time? You must have been like, what were you, 20?
22 or something.
Yeah, you're only young, weren't you? So a good 10 years ago, and you look back now, and I used to say, all the stuff that my dad used to tell me when I was a kid, and like you do with your parents, think, they don't know what they're talking about. And then you get older and everything starts falling into place. You think, bloody hell, yeah, that's right. Well, that's right. It's like with you now, going through your life, the people like the managers you've had, the trainers you've had. It's when you get to this age, you look back at 34 and you think, if only I knew now. If only I knew then what I know now, it'd be a totally different ballgame. But sometimes you have to go through all that to end up in the place you are. You have to learn the life lessons. And like I say, you've probably got maybe another good 2 or 3 years to make plenty of money. And you might think, wow, it's mad, he got to 34. I said this to every fighter, and it's what I've learned off Johnny Nelson. You only lose in boxing when you stop. Do you understand? And I remember when you were saying, that's me done with boxing, I'm never boxing again. And then you came back. No, this is your time. It weren't when you're 20s, it weren't when you were 30. This is your time now. You've got another 2 or 3 years maximum to capitalise on what you've done, make your money, and then look back on boxing and think, yeah, well, I had a good 3 years and I've been paid a decent whack, and I can elevate myself. That's it. You know what it is now. You're more focused. You've got less distractions, and you've got more ambition, and you've had more life lessons. That's what it's about, boxing.
You learn too late, is it?
Well, you don't. It's never. You might think it's late, but Liam, you're 34. You'll look back now at 34. When you get to 54 in 20 years' time, you'll look back and think, 34. God, I was young then. Like, I'm 57. I feel fresh as a daisy. But like I say, I must be one of the oldest boxing trainers. I think I'm even older than Joe Gallagher. I think I'm one of the oldest boxing trainers now around. I don't think there's that many my age. But when I look at the time I've had him...
Sim's about your age?
Oh, he's younger than me. When I look back over the time, from being in the gym, like I was going in the gym when I was 8 years old, that's like 50 years ago. The people that have come and gone, the fighters, the Paul Sykes, Richard Dunn, Errol Graham, all these fighters who've been to the gym over the years, Mick Mills, so many kids.
The context, Paul Sykes.
Paul Sykes. It's like you see him, Neil Malpass. He's Neil Malpass. He boxed Sykes, I think. He died a couple of weeks ago. Okay. He was a big heavyweight back in the day. So the number of people that come through that gym, that fighters, most of them are forgotten. I think even John Conte's been, but it's like there's such a wealth of experience and characters who pass through that gym. It's unreal.
I can remember Deontay Wilder. I would get me raps on Deontay Wilder's in gym.
Well, he'd been over to the Galapad, hadn't he? We Kid Galahad, he'd been over. He came to Sheffield because he was boxing. Went to boxing Audley Harrison that week. Yeah. So he came. So like
come to Barry's fight. Well, I boxed on undercard. He were actually there with Tyson Fury. I'm sure they were a bit chunkier though back then. It was Deontay Wilder.
Yeah, stocky kid, weren't they? But like I said, most people who come to Sheffield, they all visit that gym, don't they? They all want to come to the gym.
Just a quick question for you before we move to the final segment of this, Liam. What's the worst bollocking you had from Dom and the worst bollocking you've had from Grant Smith, who you're with now?
I ain't really had a bollocking from Jim yet. Because like different stages of career, I've had to learn hard way and to make it right. I think one bollocking from Dom I can remember. He pulled me in that little running thing. I don't know where they are now.
In the running room.
The running room. And he just gave me a bollocking about me way. He went, this, that. You're going to live with Ian at the time. You're going to live with Ian at the time. This, that, but if you don't like it, you're out. This, that, but. He was just giving me this big half an hour thing, and I'm thinking, what have I done here? He went, right, get on these scales. I don't think I was that much heavy, but like £10 or something. It's a lot, but I like £10, I thought. 2 weeks before the fight. I thought he's right, I better get myself off. But it killed me to go there.
I think you lost that fight as well, didn't you?
You know this one, what Harry Matthews won.
Oh, right.
Harry
Oh.
Matthews, and I think I did weigh him that, but it killed me stopping there because I'm thinking I've got a family a couple of miles away and my comfort in my house, but I'm in this house.
What's
They
that all
look after
about?
me, though. They did look after me. They were cooking me dinner and that. I think Jordan Gill cooked me a meal once. Oh, this is all right.
But yeah, I think you've got to realise, Liam, that it's like, because you look at people, when people look at, like, say, the success of Kel, is that not only could he box, he was just like you, and he got all these, you know, certain attributes. The difference with, probably the difference with him, a lot of people, is that when push came to shove, he could take himself into that place. He could take himself in a training camp. He could be away from home for weeks. He could just switch off and think, right, all I've got to do is get from A to B, get through forget weights, boxing's my job, switch yourself off, didn't worry about anybody else, not his missus, not his kids, just got his head down. He thought, here to there, when I get to there, I'm going to win, and I'm moving on again. And that's the difference, is once you learn that in boxing, once you make that sacrifice, there are people who do it a different way, but, you know, Kel could easily get off the rails, very easily, like most fighters can. And what you learn about training fighters is, it's like my dad used to say, you're their auntie, their uncle, the mom, the dad, the brother, the sister, the girlfriend, the boyfriend. That's what you are. You have to be everything to them fighters. And the sacrifice you have to make as a trainer, and the sacrifice they have to make to where they need to get to, is a lot. And the ones who are successful make the biggest sacrifice, as simple as that. And you're realising now, like I say, all them life lessons you had in the past, being in this gym when you were promoted by Dennis Hobson. Who did you train with before me? Was it
Chris.
Yeah, Chris
Medler.
Medler. You look at all that situation with Chris, Steve Barnes, where you started off, to where you've ended up. You couldn't have got where you needed to be today without all them experiences, all them ups and downs, all them, you know, the stuff what went off. You look at the people when you started out boxing. Some are in prison, some are dead. Like I say, you look back now, you've done fairly well. Realistically, if you look back at where you started off on the starting line with everybody you started boxing with, there's very few left. So you managed to get through that, and that's the life lesson. So you can never look back and think, oh, that were wasted times, or it's just life lessons. And like I said to you over and over again, you've got a contract with Frank Warren, you've got a good 2 or 3 years. You've got all the life lessons. It's just, you can fight. It's just getting you down to what you need to be doing and make that big impression, and don't take any chances. That's it.
And I've got I've got a story. I don't know if you want to put this in.
Go on.
I remember getting a phone call off Dom. He went, "Oh, Liam, I just want to give you some advice." I don't know if you can remember.
Were you still boxing at the time? Are you
Boxing at the time. I want to give
Not for me, or gone from somewhere else?
before you. But I want to give you some advice. But don't take this Terry Carruthers fight. He just drew with Liam Smith. I'm thinking, well, how come he said that? He went, "Listen, he's good. You don't need this fight." And I thought, I'm going to prove a point here. I'm going to beat this kid. We're actually an easy fight, but it were trying to warm it. It were early on in my career. The guy just drew with Liam Smith, who was a very good fighter. I can remember thinking, I bet I've proved Dom wrong now. Not in a bad way, just like to say, I wonder if I've got his approval now that I'm a good fighter. Yeah.
Because you beat him.
Yeah.
You were tricky. Terry Carruthers beat a few people he shouldn't have beat.
Yeah.
Like I said,
Did he beat Nav Mansouri? I can remember seeing that.
Yeah, I think he got one prize fight or something, or he got
he beat a few people.
Yeah.
He beat a few
Tough man.
people.
Last question for you, Liam. Any similarities between your current training setup? I know you're training with Pierce, obviously Grant's in the gym as well, and I obviously knowing Grant and Dom, they seem like very similar characters to me as an outsider looking in. Any similarities you can share between Grant and maybe Dom?
We're both bald, but I'm better looking.
Yeah, I didn't want to say that.
Quite similar. They're both dedicated. They both don't mess about. Dedicated to boxing, they love it. Yeah, I can see similarities. Yeah,
I thought you
both
were
got a good gym, champions. So,
I mean, as like as personalities, as in like as the way they are as people.
I don't know. I don't know how Dom is like with his family and that, but Dom's quite stone cold Steve Austin, a bit serious. Not in a bad way. I'm like that.
Yeah.
I think Grant sometimes can be a bit bubbly sometimes.
A bit what?
A bit bubbly.
Bit more bubbly, a bit more smiley, Dom.
But Dom's been doing it for years. He's seen old shit, and now he's not taking no more shit, is it?
He's not.
So like, you could see where he's coming from, but
That's why he's brutally honest. Let's get to the last bit where I'm not basically going to do like a quick in your opinions of people of the year for 2024. I'm not going to give any nominations. I just want you to just give me the first name that comes to your mind, just the names. If I said to you, Liam, who do you think, which TV channel did the best when it comes to boxing this year? Which one comes to your mind?
as in,
Broadcaster.
it's got to be biased, and answer Frank Warren.
Not that's promote. I mean TV stations. So for example, Sky, The Zone, TNT, Channel 5.
TNT.
Tom.
Yeah, TNT.
They're grassroots, aren't they? They'll put shows on front bottom, not just at a certain level. They put them on.
Well, it's a toss up between TNT and DAZN, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not. It's definitely not Sky.
The Zone's quite middle to top. TNT will put them on from bottom to middle to top, I think.
That's a nice send off for the TNT because they'll be leaving boxing in a few months as Frank's going to The Zone as well. If I said to you, name one person that's given outstanding contribution to boxing this year, Liam, who would you say?
Can you like to explain what that means?
Who's done the most to grow boxing this year? Would you say? Could be anyone from any field.
It's got to be that Turkey Al-Sheikh, isn't it? His Excellency, as they say. I didn't really want to say that because
They're going to
I'll
take your
get
brand
some
over
stick for
you.
it, won't I? But
No, but
yeah.
to be fair, I think every person I've asked this question, they've said him.
yeah,
It's got to be Manic because he's made the fights that count, and that's it. Regardless what your opinions of Saudi or Riyadh or this whole situation is that he's fast forward all the fights we wanted to see what could have panned out over 3 or 4 years and been well past the sell by date. So he's forced the issue, he's forced the fights, he's chucked the money in there, and
Got Frank and Eddie to sit together. Nobody could do that.
well, it's like anything else, fair weather friends, innit? It's not a genuine relationship, is it? It's all down to money, and it's just surprising what money can do. So they're not friends, are they? It's just that there's money in it, and if you've got to make money, then you've got to be friends with people.
What do you think to that, Liam?
yeah, I suppose it's business, isn't it? They have to put their feelings to side if they want to get on.
And it must be a lot of money if they're all holding hands.
Yeah.
Okay, and then Dom, same person for person of the year.
Yeah, it's got to be the same because nothing. When I don't watch massive amounts of boxing, but when you're looking at what keeps popping up is, if you're not looking on the dedicated sites, what keeps popping up all the time is Turkey Al-Sheikh, Riyadh, and the big fights. What are happening over there? That's ticking all the headlines, and Frank and Eddie are part of that. But he's got them together, and he's utilising what they've got, and he's making the fights that matter.
I'll start with you on this one, Dom. Promoter of the year.
Well, who's promoting them fights? Gold Star, is it?
Yeah, it's
Well,
a big part of it, Spencer.
Well, that's what it's got to be. It's not, like I say, it's got to be that, innit? Because there's nothing else really happening. Like Sky's not doing a great deal. So if Ben Shalom's a promoter, that's not really doing a great deal, is it? So it's all based around this setup with Gold Star, with Frank, Eddie, Turkey Al-Sheikh. That's where it's all happening at the minute, and it seems to have been like that for the last year and a half.
Liam?
For me personally, it's got to be Frank Warren because he's given me a chance and an opportunity. So if I said anyone else, I'd be kidding myself.
Get your
He's the only
contract back
person what's given me any hope, really, in the promoting world.
Okay, Liam, I'll start with you on this one. Trainer of the year, who comes to your mind?
Don't say me.
Trainer of the year.
Take me out of the equation, then
Yeah, take
pick
Tom out of
everybody
the
else.
equation.
Trainer of the year. For me personally, it's got to be my trainer, isn't it? Pierce Goodjohn, because
Okay, I'm going to take Pierce out of the equation.
Pierce
Okay?
out.
I want to expand it.
trainer of the
Because
year.
Pierce isn't nominated in the British Boxing Board list, so I want to try and keep it more. And Pierce is doing some great work as well. Shout out Pierce.
Trainer of the year. I don't really look into it like that. What trainers?
So I'll drop some names to you: Shane McGuigan, Ben Davison, Don Charles, Joe Gallagher. Some of the names that have been name dropped. What else have we got? Joe McNally's on the list. Rob McCracken. So Grant Smith, obviously, as well.
Gonna have to be biased, I said Grant Smith.
Okay, now there's no point in even asking him, is there, Liam? Dom. So he's gone for Grant Smith.
I'm going to give for the Wars trainer,
Don Charles.
my old friend Don Charles. He's, he's had to go through a lot. He's had the ups and the downs, but obviously Dubois had a few trainers. He was with Shane McGuigan, and I didn't particularly think it was a good move when he left Shane, because I thought Shane was doing a good job with him. So in order for Dom to take him on in a very difficult situation, I think he's done exceptionally well. I think he's just pulled all his experience out of the bag, and Don's done a tremendous job with him, and he's coached a fighter, one of the very few who's beat Anthony Joshua. So you got to give him full credit for that. That's the one who stands out. There are a lot of good trainers these days. Shane McGuigan's doing good. Ben Davison's doing really well. They're the names. Ben, Shane, Don. They're the ones that and Joe Gallagher. Not like I say, Joe's been around forever and a day, and he's kind of doesn't even need to be said, does it? With Joe Gallagher, he's like, that's it. I don't even think you need to put him in the mix, because he's always there. He's out of that mix now. I think Joe. He's out of that mix. He's not. You can't really say, Joe's just a good trainer, innit? So he's elevated above them three for me. He's the one above all them. The fighters. Look at the fighters he's trained. He can't really put him in that mix anymore, because he's kind of elevated past that level. He should never, be down in that. Is he going to be trained at the? He's one of the best trainers out there now, isn't he? And that's it. So he don't need to kind of prove himself. So that's what I think about that situation.
Okay, and female fighter of the year, Liam. I see your head's thinking, which female fighters are out there? Steel City Gym.
Yeah, I've got to win. I can't not do it, can I? I like Chantal Cameron, because I don't know if I box like her or she boxes like me.
Oh, you got same second name.
Same second.
Not related.
Name. Not related. I do claim that she's my sister, if people don't know it. But yeah, she's a good fighter. She's coming back. Only person to beat Katie Taylor. But
she's a lovely person as well.
She's a nice girl, so I'd pick her.
Because people have this misconception of boxers, and I saw some of the stuff I got written about her. She's actually such a nice person.
She is.
Get chatting to her. Dom?
Well, it's going to be hard. It's not going to be hard, this one. It's going to be hard for me to say it, actually. I'm going to send Natasha Jonas as a fighter. I don't think she's any good as a commentator, and I don't like her accent. But as a fighter, you've got to give her credit. So even though I've got these things I don't like about her, I've got to give her credit for the age she's at and where she is in boxing. Is she the unified world champion now? She's got a few titles, hasn't she? So, you've got to give her credit for that. She's been very consistent. She's had a bit of a rough ride, and hopefully she's going to get the defining fight. I think the next one is going to be unification. And looking forward to that. So, like I say, boxing good. Don't rate her as a commentator, or, when she's telling me I don't know how to train people. But
she said something like that.
Yeah, no, she's just talking about, boxers are, listen, this is my opinion. Boxers are boxers.
Say that though, what happened?
No, it was just about a fighter once trained about a southpaw stance, and you should be doing this, you should be doing that. Like I say, it's not an issue. I don't mind it, but like I always say, coaching is that, I've never yet met a boxer who's turned into a good coach. There might be one or two. Coaching is totally different to boxing, and like I say, you've got to have a big, wide, broad view of it. And I think part of Natasha's success is she's got a very good coach in Joe Gallagher. But like I say, you've got to give her, full credit. The age she's at, the level she's at, how consistent she's been, she's done tremendously well. So I'm going to say yeah.
Yep, she's an incredible fighter to watch. And the big one, boxer of the year, Liam.
Boxer of the year. It's got to be Alexander Usyk. Just a bit above Beterbiev, just a tiny bit above. So yeah, I pick him. I just think when I watched that Fury fight, even everyone, you pick the power, the speed. It's Fury. I don't know how he beat Tyson Fury because I give him no hope, even in rematch. And Harry did it. Size difference, everything. I just couldn't believe it. That's some man to do that.
Dom?
I'm going to say Beterbiev because of the fighters, the high level quality fighters. For me, you know, Usyk's obviously in heavyweight. He's a big fella, and he's beat, you know, all our guys. But what I will say is, with the exception of one or two, is that Beterbiev beating Bivol, beating Callum Smith, beating all very good fighters. I think Beterbiev's beat better fighters than Usyk has. And we're not talking about. I'm talking about better fighters, not better names, because Anthony Joshua's a name, Tyson Fury's a name. You know, the other heavyweights boxer has the names, but boxing ability wise, like I say, Bivol, tremendous fighter. Callum Smith, a good fighter. The fighters that Beterbiev's beat have been very good, decent, and he's not just beating them, he's flattening them. Obviously, with the exception of Bivol, but he's flattening them. And so that's why I'm going to have to go with him. He's not, you know, the most media friendly. He's not the one who's all over the TVs, but he goes about his work very methodically, very professionally, and he's just like one tough MF innit? That's what he is. He's just a tough fella.
Yep. He's not very media friendly unless it comes to content I've done with him recently. We've done some good
Yeah,
stuff
but
together.
you know, so he gets overlooked. I think, you know, Beterbiev, and he's very, very capable, and the way he delivers everything. And I'll be honest, I think is that looking at him as a light heavyweight, I think he's just more put together as a boxer than Usyk, and you know, I might get slated for that, but
I think you will.
But Beterbiev for me is like he's just, you know, everything about him is quite he's quite solid.
It's 2-1 they fought each other 3 times. It's 2-1 to Usyk. Beterbiev did drop him. I think it's the last.
But like I say, that's in the amateurs in it. Like I say, it's not professional, it's amateur in it, and that's the way it is. But you know, I like Beterbiev, the way he conducts himself, the way he carries himself, you know, how he fights, and how he breaks the opponents down. You know.
No looking for Daniel Dubois from either of you.
No, Daniel Dubois done all right, but you know,
won 3 fights as the underdog back to back.
Yeah, well, listen, it's the same again. Like we was talking about Liam, is that Dubois, when you think about it, was in the early, like look at Joyce, and you look at the way that Joyce dismantled the Australian or whatever they call him. Who's Dubois fighting next?
Parker, yes.
You think of the way, really, how Joyce just walked through him. He just like flattened him, and then he beat Dubois. And you think how Dubois come back, and he's learnt from his. He was only relatively young when he boxed Joyce, and people saying he was a quitter and everything else. And you know, it was a wise move that he kind of got either pulled himself out or didn't want to carry on in that fight, because he could have been damaged beyond repair. And looking back now in retrospect, it was a good move that he didn't carry on with that fight, because in my opinion, Joyce's career is finished and Dubois is still moving on, and he's learnt from them lessons. So as well as he's done, you know, back to back, I think he's still got a lot of work to do to get into the mix of, you know, being the best fighter of this year. But he's done exceptionally well from where he's been.
Liam, last question, no pressure, mate, and I won't be offended. What's been your favourite YouTube channel this year, or boxing content creator in this space?
I'm going to say it how it is, and this isn't biased. It's got to be you, because I might be bad here saying this. You've helped me. You've actually got me sponsorships. What you took your time out. Obviously, at first we didn't really know each other. I didn't even know who you were, like kind of thing. Never seen your face before. So it's got to be you. You've given me a platform to get sponsorships. I am my name, and you've always asked for me back. The other ones, if you're not boxing really, you don't really have a relationship with him. But I think I've got a bit of a relationship with you. So 100% you.
Respect, appreciate. You didn't have to thank me for that, but if I can help you in any way, mate, I'd do
100%.
Appreciate you saying that. Dom, same question to you. What's been your favourite boxing channel?
Well, I'm just going to start my own up, my own channel up, because I think I could do better on myself.
Dominic Ingle Media, yeah.
Dominic, yeah.
Why don't you do a recipe video like Gordon Ramsay?
Yeah.
Oh, that reminds me. We completely forgot your book.
I forgot. I'm going to bring that up. Don't worry.
Completely forgot.
Listen, I think you'll realise this as well, Liam, that anything in life requires hard work, and what I've noticed over the past is that it's like anything else. When you're on top of the game, everybody wants to interview you. When you're going nowhere, nobody wants to interview you. The one thing about Boxing King Media is it's finding interesting subjects, whether you win or you lose, whether you're on the up or on the down. You'll get a look in if it's an interesting story. And I only do interviews with Boxing King Media because, you know, say I'm the content, and loads of people have had me on as content like they've had you on as content, but what they've done with that content is not a great deal. It requires a lot of work and a lot of understanding of the person and a bit more in depth. So like I said, this channel brings out in everybody the human element of them, not only the boxing, and that's where it excels. Whereas you tend to find a lot of other channels who are doing boxing, they are kind of fanboys who are just looking for a free ride into the boxing, get a couple of short interviews and get your press pass, and that's it, and it's a good time for all. And that's not the way it is. So it takes a bit of hard work to get to this point. And like I say, it's proven point that, you know, you've got 1 million subscribers now. The channel's doing tremendously well. It's getting loads of views, and people now are phoning you up to come and do interviews. So it works while it's working, and you know it requires a lot to get to that position. So well done on Boxing King Media 2024. Hopefully in 2025 the challenge is going to be 2 million subs. We'll see.
Yeah, got bigger plans, and people always wonder how do we get the access? We don't actually get access. We've been lucky with the Riyadh stuff's been, they've allowed us access with some fighters, etc. But a lot of the time it's building relationships, and that's it really, nothing else. Last message to your fans of what they can expect from you in 2025.
I'm just going to give everything I can, secure my life, my families, and I thank everyone. It's unbelievable. The messages I get are crazy. I've never had it before like this. It's been like 3-4 months now. So I appreciate, I'll look at every message, and thanks so much. I hope you have a good, happy new year.
My follower should have mentioned this. He said securing your future. You turned up here and you said you've got no data. Last time you told me you got gift. Are you still on gift with all this money you've earned and sponsorship?
Still on gift gaff, but I'm quite a lazy person, so I'm thinking, it's giving me a postcode, I'll know where it is. So gift gaff's gone. I couldn't phone you. It's postcode sent me all there. So I've been driving round half an hour looking for this place, and luckily I find it. We're gonna go home. So luckily I found it.
You know what? It's not a bad way to be, is it? Not tied to your phone. I mean, like I say, he's only 30. Go back to the time when there were no mobile phones. You knew everywhere. You look on a map, you'd ask somebody. You'd stop people in the street. It's like you see people there. They got the red. It's like you see them down under. The red's in the phone. Somebody's running past on a bike, nicking the phone. It's like some people. You take the phone off them. It's like you've unplugged them. They can't operate. And it's nice to see Liam still on gift gaff pay as you go, and his data's run out, and it's like, well, I'll find it. It's in Sheffield. I'll find it at some point. But I wish them days were back, to be honest, because the way it's going now with these phones and our people are, it's like
you can upgrade or change it.
I've got a phone, and I've had phone for about 2 years. Do you know me? I'm not materialistic.
Yeah, best way to be.
One bit materialistic.
Not changing SIM cards. Get more data.
No, it's £20 a month in it. You get unlimited everything, but it ran out a couple of days ago.
Okay.
I can't be bothered to go at shop and type voucher number in.
Well, if there's any company that wants to sponsor Liam, give him a free phone and some monthly contract, get in touch.
Do you know what? That could ruin him, though. You know what I mean? More data, more problems. More data, more internet, more social media, more problems.
Did this song, innit? More data, more problems.
Yeah, that's a new song. That's that song there, Dom. Generally appreciate you guys coming on. It's been like a long one. This will go out in about maybe 2-3 parts. But thank you, and have a good new year, and plenty of content for people to watch over the next few days.